All right, so this is going to be for a 2013 to 2018 Acura RDX. We're going to do the full on suspension replacement. We're going to remove the original ones. I think these are good. It's just a little rough for me. I bought these Acura used. It's got very low mileage on it, but I'm not digging the suspension, so I'm assuming it's probably just the shocks itself. So we're going to change the shocks only, leave the actual coil springs for the rear and also for the front. So right here are the KYBs I bought from Rock Auto. So these are left and rights, and I bought this guy right here. These are FCS autos, and what I like about these comparing to the KYBs are these use Ineos oil, and Ineos is actually one of the top of the food chain oil companies for like high performance engines. And I've actually worked at a refinery for Ineos, and I know what type of how would I say, protocol they use for you know, top-notch oil. So I'm actually kind of glad that FCS used these. I'll give you guys the model numbers on these. These are this one here. I believe this is for the left side, and this one here is for the right, or could be the other way around. So yeah, we're going to change it, all of it, step by step. So what we're going to do is, starting from here, there is a 17 millimeter, and on the other side here, this way, look carefully, there's a nut that's actually on the frame itself, the wishbone, so you don't have to take the nut out, but you do have to remove the bolt, which is on this side. Clear that. Yeah, that guy right there. So we're going to take that out. For the rears, it seems like the rears are actually pretty easy. And back here, you just got to pop this piece out, and this piece goes like so. I would put the flathead or whatever you can to pop this guy out. You got the two hooks. That's a 14 millimeter. And this one here is a hex that you're gonna have to put in between to loosen it. So what I did is put a deep socket on it first, loosened it, then you put the hex right here so that the shock doesn't move, unless you have someone that can help you out and hold the shock, and then just slowly remove the nut. So just do that. Do this one first if you like, and then do the one on the other side. Same exact procedure. I forgot to mention, the only reason why you're using the Allen wrench is sometimes the bolt will move with it, and in between, the only reason why you have this Allen wrench is to hold it so that the bolt doesn't spin. Earlier when I loosened it, when I cracked it open, so you can see that in between the Allen wrench is already moving. So that's the other way to get it out. All right, so this nut is already loose, so we're gonna take this out. So nut comes off first, then you have a spacer, stick dude right here, and then in the bottom here, you can either remove it. Later on, you can actually get a flathead and pop this thing out once you remove the shock itself. So I'm going to remove the 17 millimeter in the bottom, and then we'll pull the shock out. All right, so we have the bolts loose. It was actually pretty easy, depending where you're at. You know, some are actually rusty, and if it is rusty, I would spray some WD-40 or some type of lubricant before you hit your impact, or you do it manually. So we're gonna take this out, and all you do is remove, since we got that bolt out from the top and this bolt right in the bottom, when we remove this thing's just gonna fall down. If you look between it, there's a little wishbone thing. So pick it up and it stops right there. Bolt, save it. And if you can see right here, all you gotta do is compress it down, just like a shock. It's not very hard to do. I'm actually doing it on my left arm. It takes a while. Pull that baby out. And just like that, you have yourself the rear shock. Right here is that plastic piece out. You can put your finger in there and it actually pops out. So instead of yanking it and putting I guess the flathead in there or a pick, just put your finger in there and there you go. Pops right out. Looks like it's still pretty decent. It's just kind of dirty. So it goes this way. And normally the rattling part, I was told, was coming from the center bore, because they had a metal piece on it, which is from the actual shock itself. Right here. And it seems like it's not moving at all, so I guess it's pretty good. If you look carefully, there's like a slight cracks on them. It's still pretty soft. Alright, so here's the Neos. Tells you the date it was made, March 2022. This one here is, I'm not sure this is actually OEM. Normally it's it'll say Honda on it, but who knows. But it matches. You can see the boot. Neos already has theirs, so I'll use Neos and keep this just in case it makes a noise again. It wasn't very hard to remove anyway, so if it does make a noise, I'll just take this whole piece out and put it in this guy. Alright, so for the FCS rear shocks for the RDX, you want to remove this piece out and then remove the spacer plate out, that aside. And what you need to do is, once you get this piece right here, you want to split these two. So let me see if I can do that. So just like this. See, split them just like that. And right here, you want the top one, you want it to go in like this. So it goes just like that, okay? This piece, you want this piece to go in like that. So you, technically this should be like this. And what I'm doing is I'm just putting my thumb on it. So like so, see it? Because remember, this piece here goes down this way. So you'd want that cone part going down like that as well. I just kind of just clean it real quick. And it drops in just like that. Booyah. And then you want that plate to go on top, right? And that should do it. So I am actually not going to use this. I'm going to use the flat one that FCS uses. I'll just save it just in case. But that goes through that. Put the shock in. Okay, see that piece right there? That goes there. This goes this way. And it doesn't have to fit in now. You can just put the little bushing right here, if you can. It's a little hard to do with one hand here. And then you got the assembly for this goes to the top. So you got that spacer that goes on top. I'll do that right now. And then you're gonna put, oh, that grommet just fell out. Not a big deal. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this grommet like that. And then since that's already down there, you're gonna put the bolt in there. And remember, just put a little bit of pressure to come down. I'll tell you right now, this is so much more. You have to put more pressure on it compared to the other one. There's so much more pressure on it, so it'll probably be I can already tell there's gonna be a better ride compared to the other one. So we're gonna push this guy down. Let me see if we can do this. All right, guys, I'm gonna put this out of camera. So all I'm gonna do is put a pressure, 2 hands, then I'm gonna go into that hole. That's all we're doing. All right, so what we ended up doing was putting my foot right here to make the suspension come down for that piece to go through. So you see it. Grab this 2-piece. And remember, you're not gonna bolt. Don't put the bottom bolt down yet, because you want to make sure that this spacer or the inside fits right through that hole right there. And then once that's pieces on it, see it? You're gonna put that in between there. Okay. Then you put the bottom bolt down. So we're gonna do that right now. So it's on there. Push that up. Yeah. So what I can do is my hand. You're gonna put the bottom bit on, and then that's it. Put that bad boy in there. Try to put this guy in all the way. Not try to torque it yet. Do the actual tightening at the end. That's in there. All right, so you want to put a jack just right underneath the arm, the wishbone, so that you can actually jack this all the way up so you can bolt it. So I'm just spinning this right now so you can see it's going up. Cracked up that jack, and you can see that piece is already fully in. Put this guy back in. Make sure it's all to the bottom. Okay. This is from the FCS, and this is, I don't know if this is original, possibly, but I'm not going to use that. I'm actually going to use this one, and this goes like this to match the dip. You can see the dip right there. Match it just like that. Okay, put the bolt and then tighten it up. And I think the FCS is a 15 millimeter, not a 14. Let me double check that, because there's a 14 and it's not going in, and this is a 14. It goes right in from the stock one. So give me a second. All right, so this is a 15 and it drops right in. Now when it starts to spin, I would put the 15 in here, put that Allen in here, same size on the Allen. If you see that Allen move, that means it's time to tighten that piece out. By the way, the ratcheting is ideal for this because it's so much easier to use compared to just using a standard wrench. See how that spun? So it's getting tight now. So you just keep doing this so it gets really tight. Obviously, I believe the bolt is I want to say about 25 pounds, and then the bottom, try to get it to about maybe double that, 45, 50 pounds torque. So the top one, I just used enough torque to just get the Allen wrench to bend a slight bit, and I stopped from there. And it's pretty good. It's pretty tight. So here we're gonna torque it about 50 pounds on the bottom one. And the correct way to do a torque is basically putting your palm right here, cranking it. That's 50 pounds. Let's do another 10 pounds. I think it's 60. I believe the max is 80 on it. And the only reason why I'm not going 80 is because 50 is actually a lot. So 60. And that is 60 right there. Lock it. And you see the difference between 40 or 50 and 60? Watch. That's 60. So not much more if you go another 20, right? We're going to start on the passenger side now, front. This one's going to have the coil on the strut. So you're going to need a something to get the compress the spring or the coils so that it doesn't pop on you. And you can get one of these. We bought this in Amazon. I believe they're like 40, 50 bucks. So what we're gonna do is remove the 2 bolts right here. These are actually 22. So that fits right in here. So we're gonna remove these 2, unclip this, remove this. This thing just comes right off. And this 10mm. And on top, pop these guys out, which I already did. And I believe these ones here are 14mm. Take those off, and it's gonna come right off. So once you get the nuts out, pull the bolts off. Sometimes you're gonna need a jack to kind of just even everything out. You can see the top one is not as easy to remove. Also, there's this piece right here, the linkage, and it's a 17mm that goes right here. So pop that out. And for you to remove it, because there's tension on it, is just put a pry bar like this, and then you can see it kind of even out. See it? And then just pop it out. And that's how you're gonna put it back in later. And that concludes everything in the bottom, and obviously the 4 or the 3 14mm up here for it to come down. All right, so we got the coil thing where we're gonna remove it. It's about to go out. Just be safe on it. How to remove it. Bolts come off. This way. So this whole boot comes off like this. This piece. Actually, you can just pull this whole coil off the shock. So the KYBs are on. But when you're using this, I would loosen up a little bit and also go side by side. You don't want to fully loosen one because you're going to bend the coil and it's going to be a lot harder to remove the other side. So slowly back and forth. And while you're doing that, you also want to tighten up that center nut while you're also loosening. So I'm assuming like every 20-25mm you torque it down till the center shaft spins, and then just keep doing that till it's done. Putting the new shocks on, what you want to do first is put the top bolts on, and the only reason for that is you have 4 bolts. Line that up, push it through, put the bolts in so that you can twist this. And if you put this one in first to here, you're not able to twist the top side of it. So make sure you put the top first and then work your next way, because you can move this into the actual, see, even with one hand you can move this into the shock itself. So that's one tip for you guys. So here's the passenger side shock installation or strut. So what I did was bolted up the 3, then this piece right here you can move because of the axle. And if an example of this thing here is kind of crooked, which mine was earlier, you can actually just grab this strut and move it this way, and once you get it aligned up, put the bolts in and then kind of put it back to where it was at to get it back to its normal self, or how it was before. It wasn't too hard. This one took about maybe an hour to do. The back ones were very easy. I'm gonna say about 10 minutes each if you were really onto it. Now we just do the last one and reverse it, just like how you did on the passenger side. Oh, one more thing. If you have issues with putting the tie rod back, this guy right here, because obviously it's not going to be aligned correctly, you either go underneath like this to pull up, right, or go right here and push it down. And it's not very hard. There's really not much tension on it. I want to say about maybe 5-10 pounds pressure, somewhere around there, maybe a little bit more, but it wasn't difficult at all. Once you get that thing in, put the bolt in and tighten it up. Not sure what the torque on this in that one. I'm assuming probably about a good 15 pounds. It doesn't require much. You can do a hand tight on it. It should be okay. Make sure you use Loctite, as what you can see on mine. Just very little. Also with this, a little bit of Loctite I put in there, red, so that it's not fully frozen in there. You can remove it later if you need to. And then this one here just clips back on. This one goes right in. This one here, I don't know the torque on this. I'm assuming it's about 80 pounds. It's a very big bolt. When I checked it, it was very tight using a pry bar. This one right here, that's a 1/2 inch. So then I checked that it was about a good 70-75 pounds, and it was nicely tucked and tight. This one here is a 12 millimeter. That one was just hand tight as well. All right, let's start on the next one. The only reason why I'm using ratcheting on this side is you can't put one of these in here. It's gonna slant. So just take your time doing this, making sure you're not gonna hurt yourself for it to pop out. So the new shock is in. Just install the coil. You notice that the boot's not here. It's broken. You don't really need those, you know, as long as you're not going off-roading every single day, so not a big deal. What I'm gonna do is lower this guy down. Lowering this guy down gives me access to put the shock in. You can see. So just like what we did. I'm gonna get my 14 ready. Actually, no. I'll do that later. We'll put this right here. So the 14mm bolts are there. Just down some more. Actually, I'm gonna take it off, just like that. Now, this right here needs to be moved. As you can see, difficult to do it, but it will move. You want to just get it right. Seems like it's this way. All right, so we're gonna put this in. First things first, put the bolt in. Make sure that the bolt is sticking out when you put the nut in, so you don't cross thread. Kind of just get pressure and move it around a little bit until it gets tight enough. If you can see right here, the shock doesn't match where the wishbone is. What you can do is this piece up right here, right? You can twist this over so this one's kind of straight. If you need to, you can straighten that out so it goes with the actual piece. Now you're going to need a jack to do this. So what I would normally do is bring this up just like that. Okay, lift it just like that. It ain't gonna hurt it. So you notice the jack's already on it. All you gotta do is lift the jack up high enough. If you can use another jack, it'll probably be a lot easier. But since I'm already here, so that's pretty much it. Put this guy in. See that? Bottom one, same thing. Shake it. Doesn't work behind it. There you go. All right. So you got the 12mm bolt on the brake line. Kind of tighten that up a little bit. Don't do the sensor yet. And the reason for that is because you want to put the big bolt in first. Right here. I already put the Loctite on it just a little bit. Let it dry out for about a minute. Or a couple minutes actually. Tighten that up. Using one of these, wrench. That's a 22. the last torque. Again, I don't know the torque on this. I just do them by feel. I'm assuming about 80 pounds. I'm gonna find out right now and check out to see exactly how many pounds that was. I do it to where it stops. So I'm gonna torque that. I'm already set at 80. Actually, I was at 60. Let's unlock that, put it on 80. My max is 80 actually on this one. So let's see where we're at. That's 80. That's a lot of torque already. So there you go, guys. Don't forget to tighten up your 12 millimeter and also the top. And once you're done with that, pull this guy out right here. I'm gonna put it back in. Actually, do this one first. There you go. ABS sensor. This guy goes back in. There you go. Still gotta tighten that up, and the 14 millimeters on top. I'm not sure if you guys can see this, but remember this, the linkage, that needs to go back into. I almost forgot about that. So, put this guy in. But because I have the jack on there, it actually just goes straight in. I didn't need to mess with it. And this one, if you like, you can also do the Loctite on there if you wanted to. And that there is a 17. Not sure what torque this is, but I'm going to torque it hand tight. Oh, and that's pretty tight. All right, thanks for watching.